guys, what's going on, and welcome back to the channel. Got just a few things going on. I wanted to kind of catch you up. I really haven't done just too much since the last video. I did get the rocker arms back in place. The bridges are all back in place. Valve lash is set. If you guys remember right, last video we did head studs. I do have the manifold on and torqued. I do have the heater core supply on, and I'm getting ready to put the return on. Like I said, we did plug that one there off, and we are going to move it back to that last port. If you remember correctly, we ordered some parts from Black Market Performance. They're not bad. The riser is whoops, sorry. This kind of like this doesn't work, does it? Anyway, the riser is a machined aluminum piece. It's -10. Everything's fine. It's just a couple of things that I don't know. It just could be me. So let's take a look at some things I have laid out here on the table, and I've got to get this going, man. It's getting close. I've already mowed my grass, and everybody else is calling. So let's go over some things here on the table and show you some changes that I've made and some changes that are going to be happening, but not right now. We'll have to do it at a later time. All right, start off with these are your two heater core lines from the factory. So one's top, one's bottom. I don't remember which one of that. Well, that says top and that says top, so still don't remember. As you guys can remember from previous videos, I tigged that into that 90, and I was going to use that. But like I had told you in the past, once that's up against the rocker box, we're not going to be able to take it apart, so we're going to ditch that. Actually, probably just throw that away because it's compromised and we won't use it. So this is your factory return. You can see it is restricted, and I'm going to assume that's restricted to keep water in your heater core longer, to be able to maximize your heat out of it in colder climates. Black Market Performance, not restricted. I thought about doing the same thing as I did here, but I don't have any of that material left. So in the grand scheme of things, I got to get it put together, so we're just going to run this. I did order a Mishimoto. It should be here Wednesday, but I don't want to wait that long. So we're just going to go ahead and put it together. Excuse me, and I will swap that out at another point in time. It's just going to be pretty easy. It's just going to be swapping out this piece, and then I'll just utilize this same 90-1090 that is already in there. So what I've done is I've cut this off. This used to come around and come clear up to that plastic fitting that goes on top of this standpipe. So we're just utilizing this. That'll keep it nice and tucked back in there, and it should work out okay. I tried this first, but it was just too short. After cutting it off, it would have came out just like that, and that would have set like that. But this was about 2 inches too short, and I cut it off just as close as I could get it. But irregardless, 2 inches, there's not enough here. So that takes care of that. We're going to go put that on. Ordered some stuff from Black Market Performance. We do have a grid heater delete, and we do have a grid heater relocation kit here. Less their piece, and I'll go into that in a moment. We are going to do a grid heater delete. This is their intake plenum cover that deletes your grid heater. Not just too bad. I'm not a fan of all of the machining on there. I think they could have made that a little bit smoother and maybe made their Black Market logo just a little bit more defined in there. It's okay. They did relocate the sensor on the 6.7. The sensor's here. They moved it back to here, which is, it's fine, just as long as wiring is long enough to move that sensor from here to here. So that's one thing they did do. They don't put it here, which I don't know why that is. It does come with a new gasket. I do have a new lower rocker box gasket from Fel-Pro. There's that part number there if you guys are interested. Got that all done, got that powder coated. You guys, I think I've showed you before. This is the SPE Lab. No, it was on my TikTok. I showed you guys the new valve cover from SPE Labs. It's actually a pretty nice piece. I did have this powder coated. I had this powder coated and I had the rocker box powder coated because they do not fit in my oven. So I went ahead and had this powder coated texture black. I like that a lot. One of the things that you have to do, and I'll go over this because you do have to remove that section of insulation on your firewall to be able to have clearance for this to sit back there. So I know on some of them they don't have these here. They just have a port here and a port here that are dash 10 O-ring, I believe, that you just kind of thread in and it comes off. This comes with fittings for here, and it comes with 2 pieces of hose. Did the cap in the Illusion Raspberry as well to kind of match everything. It actually looks, their machining, I know this is a Chinese part, but their stuff's actually just not too bad. They do have a website. I'll put a link in the description for this stuff, and I do have a discount code as well for SPE Labs if you guys so choose. Relocation of grid heater. So Black Market also offers this. So what this is, I bought a weld-in bung and I bought a grid heater to relocate it from here into my intake horn or intake elbow, whatever you so choose to call it. Now they do make one if you're using a factory style intake horn that bolts on the tail end right there before it goes into your intercooler. And that bolts on and this screws right into their machined aluminum piece. My thought was I can do the same thing. I bought the weld-in bung. We'll just have to blast this someplace and either, weld that in under there someplace, drill a hole, weld it in here. So I don't want it on top because I don't want it to be sticking out like a sore thumb. So someplace inconspicuous, we're going to put it someplace. Sensor is plastic, so we probably want to keep it away from that. So someplace, where we can weld this in there, preferably probably right there is what I'm thinking about doing. So, and then this grid heater just screws into the bung, and then you just hook your wire up to it, and you still have a grid heater using your, or after installing the grid heater delete plate. I guess it's known that I've never saw it, and I don't know anybody that's had happen, but the bolt on the bottom side of this grid heater, right about in this location right in here someplace, that will break off after time, and it falls down into either cylinder 5 or 6 and causes a catastrophic failure. So we don't want that. So like I said, at some point in time, this is going to get removed off the truck over there, but I want to powder coat this first. I'm going to do this in Illusion Raspberry as well, and then I'm going to do my fuel rail in black, probably texture black, or should I do this in texture black and my fuel rail in raspberry? So thoughts, comments, let me know in the comment section, or comment on this video. Let me know what you guys think, what you would do. Raspberry on this, texture black on the fuel rail, or vice versa. So this is the texture black right here. I don't want any polished parts at all, so I think I've said that in the past, so that's why we're going with that. Do have the heat tape soaking, going to get ready and wrap the downpipe. So we got to get to going. So right now we're going to go ahead and get that put in place, and then see what else we can get done today.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. All my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still.
Alright, take a minute here and catch up. As you can see, we do have the downpipe wrapped. I did use 2 of their straps. I do have a couple of winds on there as far as using the clamp tight tool, and then I did do the clamp tight tool up there. When I like to start these so I don't have to use clamps up there, as you can see in that video, I'll fold that over one way. Well, actually, it'd be this way on this one, and I'll just wrap around it, keeping pressure on it as I go around it. Excuse me. And that way everything stays tight. But we got that wrapped. That's ready to go in the truck. Gonna get my wrench out of there, my boring tool, probably set the downpipe in there, and get ready and put the compressor, or the turbine housing on the manifold. I've got my turbo drain mounted. That's ready to go. Just trying to button up a bunch of things. I do have to turn down the nuts on these so they will clear. They will not clear these edges. So you got to turn the nuts down. As you can see, these standard turbo nuts, or turbine nuts, how they got a small flange on them, and you can see these here have a bigger flange on them. So sometimes what I'll do to turn them down, since I don't have the lathe, is I'll put them on a stud. I'll chuck this up in my drill. I take the grinder, I lay it on its side, and I just start going to town with just a flappy wheel, just spinning ever so slightly, just like that with the drill as it's going through, and it turns them down pretty nice. So we got to get that done, and then we can mount this compressor, or this turbine housing, and get the downpipe hooked up. And after that, I think we should be good. Start getting some of this other turbo stuff done. We are getting extremely close.
Hanging in the balance, not the life I want to live. I want to take it all, standing tall. Fear outweighed the person you are. Oh.
All right, as you can see, that worked out pretty good. Taking them down, putting them on this old stud that I have. This is an old turbo stud, or a turbo manifold stud. So I keep that, or a bolt cut off around, to be able to turn those flanges down. And this is on any application, really. It doesn't have to be just a turbine housing flange. I mean, it's anything that you have minimal clearance. You're able to set that on there like that, put it in a drill press, put it in a regular handheld drill, however you so choose to do it. I like to drill press because it stays stationary and you can have 2 hands on your grinder then. So we're going to get the studs put in the manifold, get the turbine housing in place, and see what else we can do. One other thing, as you can see before we get too far, that's my heater core upgrade. Get you where you can see it right there. You can see how the top hose comes out of the heater core. We wrap around to a 90, to another 90, then back into the back port on the head. Like I said, it was right there. We just moved it back to there. Just tuck it back underneath the firewall or underneath the cowl, so it's just a little bit less noticeable.
Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Alright, let me see if I can catch you guys up from where it left off when the battery went dead. So we've got the turbine housing on, which you saw. Got the center cartridge in, drain lines hooked up. The drain is in the block, and we do have the feed hooked up. I did lay the valve cover on there, and I laid the intake elbow on there, intake horn, whatever you want to call it, on there, just to try and get a reference on what things are going to look like. So it's looking pretty damn good, really. So like I said, compressor housing is on. It's loose because I got to clock it yet for the hot pipe going down here into the intercooler. I'm not sure where that's going to land, so we need to do that yet. But everything's looking pretty damn good. So this side, like I said, intake horn or intake elbow is just laying there. When I do this side here and that comes back off and I weld that grid heater in there, I'll do the painting on this side. I didn't want to get paint everywhere on this side, masking everything off, and I don't know, everything was in the way, so I just didn't do it. So we do need to get the upper gasket in and the wiring harness in for the injectors. I'm gonna run, I don't know how I'm gonna do the vents yet for the crankcase. I think what I might do for the time being, because I do want to pick up a catch can at some point in time. Actually, SPE Labs is supposed to be sending me a catch can. They're just out of stock. So what I think I might do for the time being is order some -10 O-ring right here. That's for this hose here, but order some -10 O-ring to these factory vent size, which is right there. You can see how those vent from the factory down into the crankcase, or down into the block, the crankcase. So I'm thinking about doing that. Those won't fit. Those are an O-ring fitting, but those look like they might be a -6 or a -8. I'm not certain because I've never pulled them out. So anyway, that looks like it's probably 1/2 inch. So we'll order some -10 to 8 barb. I'm sure Amazon has them. Evil Fab, I think it's Evil Fab, not Evil Fab. Maybe it's Evil Fab, I don't know. They have a lot of different AN fittings and stuff like that, so I get a lot of them from their Amazon store. So we'll be ordering some of those. But yeah, we're getting very, very close to starting this up for the first time. And let me tell you, I am super stoked about getting this truck back on the road. We do have to make a bracket for the transmission dipstick right there. I'm just going to pull that over someplace in there. Maybe come off of these holes on the side. They are threaded. Bring that over there in some place and maybe put that right there. Just make a bracket. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, how I'm going to do that, but anyway, that's where we're at. We are going to do an oil change as well. That way we're putting fresh, clean oil through that turbo for the first time. When you guys, before you put your line on, make sure and put just a little bit of oil down in there for first startup, especially if you're a thrust bearing. This is a ball bearing turbo, so it's crucial to get the oil in there, whether it's a thrust bearing or a ball bearing turbo. So just remember to put some oil down in that feed before you do that first startup, just for that first startup. So downpipe is in. I don't know how much that you could see in that time lapse. So this is why it is crucial. You can see right there to heat wrap your downpipe, turbo blanket. Everything is really close to this wiring harness right here. We may have to get some foil tape and put on there just to cover that, help cover that up as well. Looks like that's the only close calls that we have. That might be rubbing a little bit back there, so we might have to adjust our downpipe or take that tray for the AC lines and bend it ever so slightly if we can. And yeah, so anyway, that's caught up where we're at so far of getting this truck back together. Alright, so like it said, a few days have passed. You guys know that I did upload the valve cover video. Valve cover is not bad, what I thought. might have some baffling. I did not pull those plates off of there. I don't believe there's any baffling because we have some oil issues, and just running this CCV valve, you can see we got some oil coming out, splashing up, so there must not be any baffling in there like I thought there was. And so what I'm going to do now is go along with the plan. I'm going to run one of these crankcase vents into a 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to take and put a piece of hose on there that came with it that's over there on the bench right there. And we're going to take this CCV, son of a gun, and we're going to run that over here someplace and kind of zip tie it up so it's got nice fall back to the valve cover so no oil comes out of it. Hoping so. Until catch can is available, you can see it right there. Until the catch can is available, this is what I have to work with. I do have to make this bracket here as well. That's rubbing on my turbo blanket. So we have started the truck. We have driven it a couple of times. So those are the only issues thus far that we had. Had a little bit of fitment issues here, like an idiot. I put my hot pipe in, got it nice and set and right, and then it was too far over from my battery box, so I couldn't get my battery box in. But I mean, things are really, really tight, as you can see. As far as fitment, we do have the grid heater solenoid that we need to move. Either going to put it up front here, or going to move it to the back. Haven't really decided yet where I'm going to move it. I think traditionally they move those up front and mount them someplace up here. But a lot of things that I want to do, just ran out of time. I want to get started working tomorrow. Phone's ringing already. I want to get rid of this thermostat housing and put on one like from a 5.9 and get rid of this sensor and all this bull crap right here. Just make it look a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer. When he does the tuning, gonna have to tune out obviously the turbo, and then the crankcase. I'm getting a crankcase sensor, VGT sensor, getting the exhaust gas sensor for where that went back into the EGR. I'm not certain what that sensor is, but I do have that code. I just can't remember what it is. Like I said before, we do have the grid heater delete, so that's going to be kind of phase 2. So when I'm done with this, when I get some free time, I'm going to pull the truck back in the shop. We're going to tear this side apart again, pull the fuel rail off, do some powder coating, and make this side look a little bit better than what it does now. But I mean, the truck's it's an 11. You can only go so far without pulling the engine and cleaning everything up and taking it from there. So like I said, we'll get that changed over, and hopefully that takes care of our venting issue and getting that oil coming out that CC vent. Yeah, because like I said, this is all that we have from the factory. We got these 2 1/2 inch lines here that goes down to behind the CP3, and then this is your CC vent. Man, I got a hard time with that right here. So I mean, obviously that stuff's deleted, and then you got your crankcase sensor back there on the valve cover as well that is no longer used. So let's go ahead and get that stuff changed, and yeah, punt, I guess. I wanted to show you this. This did come in from Mishimoto. This is Mishimoto's coolant stack. This is a steel piece versus Black Market Performance's milled aluminum. So this will probably get changed over as well. Don't necessarily need the 90 with the barb. That's fine, but I do want to switch over to this restricted coolant stack and use it. All right, I got that all finished up. Well, I said I was going to let gravity do its thing and let that oil drain back where it needs to be, but I'm really going to let gravity do its thing. So as you can see, I just brought it right down there, just like the old second gen. It was just dumped down there at the ground. That's the way I had it for years, and I never had a drop of oil out of it. So hopefully when I pulled that plug out of there, out of that backside, it was dry. The only place I was getting oil from was that front one, and you can see I have that going into the factory drain right there. So hopefully that takes care of it. This is the plug I pulled out of the back, and no oil whatsoever on it. So hopefully that takes care of that issue until I get the catch can. Or like I said, I still want to do just like I did right there with that one. I'm trying to find a build aluminum Y so these two pieces can go down into one and then go down into this factory location right there behind the CP3. Hopefully that'll work. Not certain if that gives it enough venting or not, or if that doesn't give it any venting at all. This is kind of my first issue I've dealt with this, so yeah, I don't know, but here's kind of an overview. Like I said, I do want to do more, but I'm in a time crunch right now to get everything done. As far as just being able to use the truck, like I want to coat the alternator or get a new one, coat the housing on it like I did on the second gen. Do away with that thermostat housing, put a better or a nicer looking one on there, get rid of all this bull crap on the side, and then we'll address the driver's side of the engine at a later date. So right now I think the only thing we need to do is fire it up so you guys can see how it sounds. Doesn't sound just too bad. Don't know if I really like the 4-inch exhaust to a 4-inch tip. We may try and find something a little bit different as far as the tip wise. Over the time being, it's going to suffice until I have more time and money now to be able to do other things that I want to do. So I guess with that being said, it's pretty much going to do it for this one. The next video I'll go over some different things as far as the second gen swap from Slosh Fab and the Tater-Built turbo, and yeah, cover that stuff. Right now, I gotta get to work. So if you don't mind, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already done so, and we'll see you guys in the next one.